Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Elvis Sinisek to defeat Tito Ortiz. And I'm here to talk about Anjalusa versus Rhys McKee. Anjalusa is 9-3 as a pro, 29 years old, and he's giving up 4 inches of height and 4 inches of reach to 13-4-1 Rhys McKee, who is 27 years old. Loosa, very tough guy. He's got 3 losses, and they're all by decision. Not that it's like 10 losses or whatever by decision, but still, he's looked damn tough in his losses. We saw him lose to Mornir Lazez in the UFC and Jack Della Maddalena on the Contender Series. And even though he was outpointed and kind of a step behind in both fights, he hung tough in both fights. And I thought in the Jack fight, he gave him his best fight easily, up until the last one, of course, with Basil Hafez. But Anjalusa, he's looked really damn tough. And on the feet, that's where he does his best work, I'd say. On the feet, he's shown to be a damn good striker. Really good striker, good at managing his range. Really sharp athletically, an explosive guy, good at covering ground, which will help when he's fighting a guy with a 4-inch reach advantage. And also, he uses his athleticism very well on the ground as well. He's, or to get the fight to the ground. He's got a really sharp wrestling. I don't know if he's got a sharp wrestling game, but he's got a really sharp takedown. Really sharp takedown. And works for him. You know, he keeps that takedown prowess deep into the fight. I saw him rip John Howard to the mat with seconds left in a 3-round fight, even though he'd ripped him to the mat earlier. He also found success against A.J. Fletcher with his wrestling there, but everything else, I mean, that was a fight where he showed a lot. That was a competitive fight that I thought was starting to get away from him in round 2, with Fletcher taking over. But instead, he took the fight back and in a big way and looked really good. So that's really impressive. And Fletcher, despite me calling him a wrestler in my first breakdown of whatever fight he had, he is not a wrestler. He's a football player. I don't think he ever wrestled, although I could be wrong about that. But he does look like a wrestler. He's a sharp fighter, Anjalusa. Really sharp fighter, and I think his durability is going to help him. I mean, again, his durability isn't it's not something that's been cemented. He's only got 3 losses, but I trust his durability, and I also think he's got good cardio, good grit, just a lot of natural traits as a fighter, and that combined with his striking prowess and his athleticism and that mean takedown, it means he's going to be a good fighter. I think he's here to stay in the UFC. Speaking of which, Rhys McKee, he's coming back to the UFC after losing 2 fights a few years ago. He has a 13-4-1 record, and 2 of the losses do come in the UFC. He was TKO'd by Khamzat Chimaev, who fucking mauled him in his debut. Or maybe it was the second fight, but they were both a week apart, and it's pretty much the same fight. John Phillips and Rhys McKee. He just beat the shit out of both of them, strangled one of them. And then he lost to Alex Morono in his next one by decision. Morono outworked him, got the better of him everywhere, beat him up, hit him with a lot of hard shots. And Rhys McKee, he impressed me by standing tall in that one. He didn't go down, even though he was clearly outgunned. His 2 other losses come by decision to this guy Terry Brazier, who's a good fighter. And he was TKO'd by this guy Tim Barnett, who roughed him up. And in 1 round, really, they had a fast-paced, grueling fight. And Tim Barnett roughed him up in the clinch, where I think Rhys McKee was a little exhausted, even by the end of round 1. But then they rematched a year or 2 later, whatever it was, and it looked like a totally different fight. Rhys McKee was leading the dance right away, hurting him, and then put him away also in round 1. So, great look for him. He's got 13 wins. All 13 of them are finishes. 10 knockouts, 3 submissions. And that's because he doesn't make the most of his height and reach. You know, if he did, he'd at least have 1 decision victory. But he's a guy that doesn't want to fight behind the jab and whatever. He will, and, he's got a jab and the good, long, lengthy kicks and whatever. But he's a knockout artist, and he wants to get inside. And the reach and height is there for him with the knockouts. That's how he knocked out Jai Herbert. I think he handed him his first knockout loss, Jai Herbert, by just having that reach. Jai Herbert thought he could style on him and was doing well, and Rhys McKee just charged at him and caught him with that extra reach where other fighters wouldn't, as Jai was trying to circle out, and he got knocked out. And Rhys McKee will have that reach here in this fight, certainly. He's got 4 inches. But I think he's going to lose even the jousting battle to Anjalusa. I think Anjalusa is going to be a tough guy for him to make the most of his height and reach here. Anjalusa is a really sharp athlete, really agile, great distance control, and also he's got that athleticism and physicality on the inside. If these guys are fighting anywhere where their bodies are tied up, Loosa is going to be much stronger, and I envision him having that takedown prowess too, even from the outside, just sharp takedowns, double legs, where he's going to have that option of ripping Rhys McKee to the mat. So between that and his durability, I'm taking Anjalusa. If Anjalusa had a weak chin, I'd be a little more open to a Rhys McKee bet, but Anjalusa has looked very damn tough, and if Rhys McKee was the exact opposite type of striker, where he would fight more long and tall and fight behind his jab and really try to win a jousting decision battle, I would trust him more in this fight. But that's just never been who he is. He's a knockout artist. It's embedded in his DNA, and I think that's just not going to work against Anjalusa. He'd be better off being a pure point fighter. So Anjalusa is the pick. I think he will win by points, but I can't guarantee that. I just like his money line at minus 180. Anjalusa is the pick and the bet. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos.